Chosen one, before I begin, I need to give you a warning. What I am about to share with you today cannot be unheard, and I mean that with everything in me. Once you receive what is inside this message, you will not be able to return to the version of reality you have been living in. I do not say that to frighten you. I say it because I respect you too much to let you walk into this without knowing what you are stepping into. I have been carrying certain truths for a long time, things I deliberately held back from you, not because you were fragile, not because I questioned your ability to handle them, but because some truths require a foundation before they can be spoken. And if that foundation is not set, the truth does not liberate, it overwhelms, but it was filtered. I gave you the version your conscious mind could carry at the time. Carefully measured, deliberately incomplete. Today, I remove the filter. The 1st of June 2026. This is not a random date, and everything I have been holding, every truth I parceled into smaller, safer portions is being released right now. Not some of it, not the comfortable parts, everything. If you are not somewhere, you can receive this with your full attention. Close this and come back when you are alone, when you are still, when nothing in the room is competing for what is about to enter your spirit. But if you are ready, truly ready, then stay. What I am about to tell you has been waiting for you longer than you know. Think of everything I am about to share as it has been sitting in front of you your entire life. But the seal could not be broken until the ground beneath you was steady enough to hold what is inside. Here is what most people do not understand. You did not stumble across this message. The envelope was delivered to you, and the delivery was timed with a precision that has nothing to do with chance. Your body received the first pages weeks ago, whether you realized it or not. Your mind is about to receive the next pages now, and your spirit will receive the final page before this message ends. Let me start with your body. Because your body already knows what I am about to say. There is a heaviness you have been carrying, and it does not belong to any illness a doctor can name. You have felt it, that weight behind your ribs that arrives without warning. Sometimes in the middle of a perfectly ordinary afternoon. You could be driving. You could be washing dishes. You could be lying in bed staring at a ceiling you have stared at 1,000 times before, and suddenly the weight is there, pressing inward, as if something unseen placed a stone inside your chest and walked away without explanation. It is not anxiety in the way the world defines it. It is not sadness. It is something underneath both of those things, something the language of medicine does not have a clean word for. You may have searched for answers. You may have sat in a waiting room, hoping someone in a white coat could finally tell you what is wrong, and every test came back normal. But you know, in a place deeper than logic, that something is not normal. You feel it in your bones. Here is the first truth I have been holding back from you. That heaviness is not a malfunction. Your body is not breaking down. What you have been feeling is spiritual weight that your conscious mind has not caught up to yet. Your system is processing something enormous beneath the surface, and the pressure you feel behind your ribs is not something collapsing. It is something recalibrating. It is the weight of a frequency your body is preparing to carry, and the discomfort exists because the old container is being stretched to hold what is coming. The second thing your body has been telling you is through your emotions. Waves of feeling that crash in from nowhere and recede just as fast. You are fine one moment, completely stable. And then a song comes on, one you have heard 100 times, and tears rise without permission, or a sudden rush of hope fills your chest so completely. You feel like something beautiful is about to happen, and then 20 minutes later, a sadness moves through you so deep. It takes your breath, and you cannot explain either one. You have wondered if you are becoming unstable. You have questioned your own mind. Let me settle that for you right now. You are not losing control. Your emotional body is being reorganized. Old frequencies that lived inside you for years decades even, are being flushed out. And what is rushing in to replace them is something your nervous system has never held before. The turbulence you feel is not dysfunction. It is renovation. The third sign is in your sleep. Your dreams have changed. They are no longer background noise your brain produces to sort the day. They carry substance now, weight, meaning you wake at 2 o'clock or 3 o'clock in the morning with a clarity that feels more real than anything you experienced during the day. A knowing that sits in your chest like a warm stone, and by morning it is gone. Like smoke that slips through your fingers, no matter how tightly you try to hold it. You may dream of searching for something you cannot name. You may dream of standing in places that feel deeply familiar, but look nothing like anywhere you have ever been. These are not random images. Your mind is recycling. They are briefings. Your spirit receives information while your waking mind is out of the way. And those dreams are pages from the sealed envelope that your conscious mind was not yet authorized to read. The fourth sign is something you have probably felt guilty about. Your tolerance has collapsed. Conversations that used to be perfectly fine now drain you in minutes. Rooms you used to walk into with ease now feel like they are closing in on you. Like wearing a coat 3 sizes too small. People you genuinely care about have started to feel heavy, and you have been pulling away without fully understanding why, and then punishing yourself for it. Let me tell you something right now, and I want you to let it land. Nothing is wrong with you for pulling away. Your frequency has shifted. What used to match your energy no longer does. The environments and conversations and relationships that fit the old version of you cannot contain the version that is forming. That is not antisocial behavior. That is not selfishness. That is elevation. And elevation always feels like loss before it reveals itself as alignment. The fifth sign is the one most people never talk about because it hides inside ordinary discomfort, physical tension, a tightness across your shoulders that no stretch can fully release, a jaw that clenches when you think about your future, a shallow breathing pattern that arrives whenever you sit with the question of what comes next. Your body is bracing itself, not because something terrible is approaching, but because something enormous is approaching. And your nervous system can feel the magnitude of it before your mind has words for what it is sensing. If you recognize 3 or more of those signs just now, let that settle inside you. Your body has been speaking to you in a language no one ever taught you how to translate. And the fact that you recognized yourself in what I just described is not random. It is confirmation that the envelope was addressed to you. Type 1111 in the comments right now if your body just confirmed what I said. Let that be the first seal you break today. Now hear me clearly what I just shared. The 5 signs and the truth behind each one. That alone would be enough to change how you understand what you have been going through. Most people will never receive even this much explanation in their entire lives. But this is not where I stop. This is where I begin. Stay with me until the very end of this message, because what comes next goes far deeper than your body. I am going to reveal the exact scientific mechanism behind why these signs exist. A specific 7-minute practice that recalibrates what has been shut down inside you, and an identity that has been forming underneath everything you thought you knew about yourself. And the very last thing I do in this message will not be information. It will be an activation spoken directly over your life. All of that is ahead. Everything. But first, I need to tell you what caused all of this. What was done to you before you were old enough to protect yourself from it. And that is something I have never said out loud until right now. Everything I just described to you. The heaviness, the emotional waves, the dreams that carry weight, the collapsed tolerance, the tension your body cannot shake. They all trace back to one source, not 5 separate causes. 1. Neuroscientists have a name for what happened to you. They call it the decline effect. And once you understand what it means, You will never see your childhood, your struggles, or your current discomfort the same way again. When you were very young, before the age of 7, your brain operated at a frequency that most adults will never access for the rest of their lives. Researchers call it the gamma frequency. It is the fastest, most powerful brain wave the human brain is capable of producing. And when gamma is fully active, everything changes. Learning becomes effortless, as if knowledge simply pours into you without resistance. Creativity does not feel like work. It feels like breathing. Tuition sharpens to a point where you know things before anyone tells you, where you feel things in a room. The adults around you noticed it. Your teachers noticed it. Maybe someone in your family said you were gifted. Maybe they said you were old beyond your years, or that you understood things no child should understand. They called it a gift because they did not have the scientific language for what they were witnessing. What they were witnessing was gamma, and somewhere around the age of 7, that frequency began to dim. Not because of anything you did wrong, not because you lost your gift, but because the world, with its systems, its demands for conformity, its insistence that you think the way everyone else thinks, began to do what it does to almost every human being on this planet. It suppressed the very frequency that made you exceptional. Your brain, which was wired to operate at the frequency of genius, was gradually downshifted into a frequency of survival, stress, overthinking, a mental treadmill that runs all day and goes absolutely nowhere. Researchers at institutions like MIT, Princeton, Stanford, and Columbia have measured this. They have placed sensors on the heads of children and tracked year by year as the gamma frequency faded. They documented it, they published it, and then the world moved on as if it did not matter. But it matters, especially for you, because here is where your story separates from everyone else's. If you are still listening to this, if your body confirmed those 5 signs, if something inside you recognized itself in every word I have spoken, then your gamma was never average. It was significantly stronger than the people around you. That is why you learned so fast when you were small. That is why your intuition felt almost supernatural. That is why people called you intense or sensitive or too much, because the frequency you were carrying was more than most people could relate to. And when the decline effect hit, when the world pressed that frequency down, you felt the loss more deeply than anyone near you could possibly understand. The distance between the child who lit up every room and the adult who now feels heavy and dimmed, that distance has a name. It is the gamma gap, and it was never your fault. It was done to you by a world that benefits when brilliant minds operate at the frequency of compliance rather than the frequency of genius. Type "I see it" in the comments if something just clicked inside you. If the pieces are starting to form a picture you have never seen before. Now, I need to show you something about timing, because the timing of what you are hearing right now is not accidental, and I can prove it. There is a word in the original Greek language, the language in which much of the ancient wisdom was first written down, and that word is kairos. Most people are familiar with the word chronos. Chronos is clock time, linear time, the kind of time where Monday follows Sunday and June follows March, and the years stack on top of each other in a neat, predictable line. Kairos is something entirely different. Kairos is the appointed moment, the exact intersection where readiness meets revelation. The instant when something that has been prepared in the invisible realm finally breaks through into the visible one. Not because a calendar said it was time, but because the person receiving it is finally able to carry it. The 1st of June 2026 is not a chronos date. I am not telling you that something mystical happens because of a number on a calendar. What I am telling you is that this is a kairos moment for you. The reason you are hearing all of this now today, and not 3 months ago, not a year ago, not 5 years ago when you first started feeling these signs, is because you were not ready then. The ground was not steady. The foundation was not laid. And if these truths had reached you before the foundation was complete, they would not have set you free. They would have crushed you. There is a woman in the ancient wisdom texts whose story runs so parallel to yours, it is almost uncomfortable to read. Her name was Esther. She lived an entire chapter of her life without knowing who she really was. She was positioned, placed, prepared for something extraordinary. And through all of it, she was given no explanation. The full truth about her identity was deliberately withheld, not because she was unworthy of knowing, but because premature knowing would have destroyed the very mission she was being positioned to fulfill. When the disclosure finally came, it came at exactly the right moment, not a day too early when the knowledge would have been a burden she could not use, not a day too late when the window for action would have closed, at the precise moment when knowing would give her the power to step forward and change the course of history. That is what is happening to you right now. This is your Esther moment. The seal on the envelope is breaking, not because a date told it to, but because you, the person holding it, are finally standing on ground strong enough to bear the weight of full knowing. If you are still here, if you understand what that means, you did not get distracted and move on. Something in you recognized the truth in these words, and it anchored you here. That is not willpower. That is not curiosity. That is your gamma responding to a frequency it has not heard in years, the way a tuning fork vibrates when the right note is struck in the room. That recognition you feel right now is the oldest part of you waking up. Before I go further, gently press the like button. Not for me, so that this message can reach another chosen one whose body has been screaming for answers, whose mind has been searching for the explanation I just gave you, and whose spirit needs to hear tonight that the heaviness they are carrying is not a curse. It is a recalibration. Someone out there is waiting for exactly this. Your single action sends it further than you realize. Now, remember the 5 signs I showed you. The heaviness in your chest, the emotional waves, the dreams, the collapsed tolerance, the physical tension. I told you they trace back to one source. I showed you that source, a gamma frequency that was suppressed before you were old enough to protect it. And I showed you that you felt it worse than others because your gamma burned brighter than most. But there is something I have not told you yet. Something about what was quietly, invisibly being constructed inside you during all those years you thought you were falling behind. Every season of silence, every season of waiting, every season where it felt like nothing was happening, something was being built, and there is a specific practice, 7 minutes, that reactivates what was taken from you. That is what comes next. And when you hear it, the sealed envelope will never look the same again. I told you that during every silent year, every season where it felt like you were falling behind, something was being constructed inside you without your knowledge. This is the 3rd seal. And when it breaks, the way you see your entire past will shift. There is a man in the ancient texts whose story has haunted me since the first time I read it, because it mirrors what so many of you have walked through with terrifying accuracy. His name was Joseph, and Joseph had a knowing. From a very young age he could see things others could not. He carried a brightness that unsettled the people closest to him, not strangers, not enemies, the people who should have loved him the most. And because of what he carried, because of the frequency he could not hide, he was thrown into a pit, stripped of everything, locked in a prison he did not earn. And for years, nothing visible happened. No rescue, no explanation, no voice from heaven telling him why. But here is what the story reveals, if you read it slowly enough. The pit was not the punishment. The prison was not the setback. They were the construction site. Every single thing that happened to Joseph during those invisible years was building something specific inside him. Patience that could not be manufactured in comfort, discernment that could only be sharpened in darkness, and authority that did not need a title, because it had been forged under pressure so immense that no external position could ever match its weight. When his moment finally came, when the seal on his life finally broke, he did not stumble into greatness. He walked into it with the exact skill set that only the pit and the prison could have given him. And that is exactly what has been happening to you. What felt like isolation was actually incubation. What felt like delay was actually development. What felt like confusion was actually calibration. What felt like silence was actually construction. And what felt like breaking was actually the most deliberate rebuilding you have ever been through. Every year you spent wondering why things were not moving. Every relationship that ended without closure. Every opportunity that dissolved right before it became real. Every night you lay awake asking, what is wrong with me? Why am I stuck? Why does everyone else seem to move forward while I stay here in the same place? None of it was wasted. Not one day. The wilderness you walked through was never empty. It was a workshop. And the version of you that survived all of it, that kept breathing and kept showing up, even when there was no evidence that showing up mattered, that version of you is the living proof that what was being built inside you is stronger than anything the world can build on a surface. Someone is still in the pit right now. Not the Joseph who made it through. The one who is still inside it, still counting the days. Still asking the question he cannot stop asking, why is nothing moving? And hearing nothing back but the sound of his own voice returning to him in the dark. You know who I mean, not a stranger. Someone specific just came to mind, someone whose silence lately has felt different from their usual quiet, someone who looks like they are holding it together. But you have felt, in that place that never lies, that something underneath is coming apart at the seams. That person is in a construction site they cannot see yet. And the cruelest part of the pit is not the darkness. It is that from inside it, everything looks like abandonment. Nothing looks like architecture. Nothing looks like preparation. It just looks like being forgotten. This message exists to reach them, not as information, as evidence. Evidence that someone else walked the same invisible road and came out the other side knowing, with the kind of certainty that cannot be argued with, that the wilderness was never empty. If something in your chest moved just now, if a name, a face, a person surfaced while I was speaking, that is not coincidence. That is assignment. Through the link in the description or the pinned comment, you can plant a seed into this mission, not into a channel. Into the word that finds someone at the bottom of their pit at 2 a.m. and tells them what you now know, that what is happening to them is not punishment. It is construction, a coffee, a seed, or if this mission has become yours too, a place inside it as a co-owner of what gets built from here. Bring with you the person you just thought of. Place them inside what you release, and trust that the same force that was building something in you during your invisible years is building something in them right now. And your seed is part of how they find out. The pit looks like the end of the story from the inside. Your seed is part of how they find out it was only the beginning. Now, here is where I give you the tool I promised. I call this the Full Disclosure Protocol. It is a 3-step daily practice, and it takes less than 10 minutes. But if you do this consistently, it will accelerate the unsealing process that has already started inside you. Step 1 is the honest question. Every morning before your day begins, before you check anything or speak to anyone, ask yourself one question. What am I still hiding from myself? Do not rush the answer. Do not manufacture a response. Just ask it. Let the question sit. The truth that surfaces may be uncomfortable, but it is always the next page of the envelope waiting to be read. Step 2 is the 7-minute stillness. Sit in complete silence for 7 minutes. No music, no guided words, no agenda. Just you and the frequency of your own awareness. This is not meditation in the way most people think of it. You are not trying to empty your mind or reach a state. You are simply giving your gamma frequency an uninterrupted window to reactivate without the noise of the world pressing it down. Step 3 is the first thought journal. The moment the 7 minutes end, write down the very first thought that enters your mind. Do not edit it. Do not judge it. That thought is the unsealed truth for that day. It is your spirit handing your conscious mind the next piece of information it is ready to carry. There was a woman, a teacher, 43 years old, who spent an entire decade helping other people grow, while she felt like she was standing perfectly still. She described her own mind as a machine running at 30% capacity. She knew something was missing. She could feel the gap between who she was and who she was supposed to be, but she could not close it, no matter how many books she read, no matter how many retreats she attended, no matter how many mornings she woke up telling herself that today would be different. 3 weeks after she began a 7-minute stillness practice, something shifted. She could not explain it clinically, but ideas began arriving on their own, without effort, without struggle. The way water fills a container that has finally been emptied of everything blocking the flow. Decisions she had postponed for over a year, she made in a single morning, not because she suddenly became a different person, but because the frequency that had been suppressed since she was a child had been given a clear, unobstructed path back to the surface. What just landed in that story is not about a teacher. It is about the version of you that has been running at 30% for longer than you can remember. You have felt it, the gap between what you carry and what you are actually living. The sense that something enormous is inside you, but cannot find its way to the surface. Not because you have not tried, because the frequency has not had a clear, unobstructed path. The 7-minute stillness practice I just gave you is real. It costs nothing. Do it tomorrow morning. Do it the morning after that. But there is another layer to this, and I want to be honest with you about it. This message, the one that just explained your heaviness, named your gamma, walked you through Joseph, and handed you a practice that can begin unsealing what was shut down. This message takes real resources to reach people, the chosen ones who are still in the dark, the ones who have no language for what they are carrying, the ones who will hear this tonight, and for the first time in years, feel like someone finally sees them. If this reached you, it is because someone made it possible for it to reach you. Through the link in the description or the pinned comment, you can make it possible for it to reach the next person. A coffee, a seed, or a seat at the table as a co-owner of this mission. Bring into your seed the thing you have been asking heaven to unblock the longest. The door that has not moved. The area of your life where you can feel something enormous trying to come through, but the channel is still narrow. Plant that alongside what you release, and trust that the same frequency being reactivated in you right now is the frequency through which your answer travels. Generosity is not a transaction. It is a declaration that what is coming is more real to you than what you are holding. Type "I receive" in the comments if you accept what is being spoken over your life right now. Now, the formation has been explained, the tool has been delivered. But there is one more truth. The biggest one. The one I have been saving for last, because it required everything I just shared to serve as its foundation. It is about who you actually are, and once you hear it, every fragment I have given you today will suddenly form a single unbreakable picture. Your body was signaling you. That was the first truth. Your brain was carrying a frequency that was suppressed before you had any say in the matter. That was the second truth. And everything you suffered through, every invisible year, every season of silence, was quietly building something specific inside you that could not have been built any other way. That was the third truth. But all three of those truths were pointing somewhere. They were arrows, and every single one of them was aimed at the same destination. A truth so foundational that everything I have said today only exists to bring you to this exact moment. You are not who you think you are. And I do not mean that as a poetic phrase. I mean it as a literal fact about your existence that has been obscured from you since the day you arrived here. The heaviness you carry, the gamma that burned brighter in you than in the people around you, the wilderness that forged you while the world thought you were wasting away, none of it was random. All of it was shaping a specific kind of person. And that person has a name. Not the name your parents gave you, the name your assignment gave you. The first identity you carry is the seer. You perceive what others cannot. You always have. You sense when something is wrong long before the evidence arrives. And people have called you paranoid for it, or oversensitive or dramatic, until the thing you sensed turned out to be exactly what you said it was. That is not personality. And that seeing was never a burden you chose. It was a function you were built to carry. The second identity is the truth carrier. You cannot fake anything you have tried. There have been seasons where you wanted nothing more than to pretend, to play along, to wear the mask that everyone else seems to wear so effortlessly, and every time you tried, your entire system rejected it. Your body got sick. Your mind went to war with itself. Your spirit shut down because you were not designed for pretending. You were designed to carry truth in a world addicted to performance. And the reason that has been so painful is because truth carriers pay a price that no one around them ever fully understands. The loneliness you have felt is not because something is wrong with you. It is the cost of being unable to live in a lie while everyone around you seems comfortable doing exactly that. The third identity is the voice. You speak what others feel, but cannot articulate. People have told you that you said the exact thing they needed to hear. Strangers have opened up to you in ways that made no logical sense, as if something in your presence gave them permission to stop performing and start being honest. That is not a coincidence, and it is not a social skill. It is an assignment. You are a translator between the invisible and the visible. And the weight of that assignment is the reason words have always mattered more to you than they seem to matter to anyone else. The fourth identity is the pioneer. You go first into rooms. No one has entered. Into conversations. No one is willing to start. Into seasons of transformation that have no map, no guarantee, and no one walking beside you to confirm that you are headed in the right direction. That is why you have felt alone for so much of your life. Not because you were abandoned, because pioneers walk ahead of the group. They always have, and the loneliness of the front line is not a malfunction in your story. It is the geography of your calling. Someone has to go first so that others can follow. And you were built for that exact position. The seer, the truth carrier, the voice, the pioneer. 4 identities that have been operating inside you, your entire life long before you had names for them. And every sign your body showed you, every year the world suppressed your frequency. Every season, the wilderness stripped away what did not belong. It was all, every single piece of it, shaping you into the person who could carry these 4 assignments simultaneously. That is not coincidence. That is not random. That is not accident. And now I need to say the thing that most people in my position would never say, because it is the uncomfortable part. The part that lives in the shadow of everything I just revealed. Now that you know, now that the seal is broken, and the full picture is in front of you, something inside you is afraid. You may not call it fear. You may call it doubt. You may call it hesitation. You may disguise it as practical thinking. But underneath all of those labels is a very specific terror. And it sounds like this. What if I step into this and I fail? What if I am seen, fully seen, and I am not enough? What if this identity I just heard described is too large for someone like me to carry? I hear you, and I will not pretend that fear is small or irrational, because it is not. It is one of the most intelligent responses a human being can have when standing at the edge of something enormous. Do you know who does not feel this fear? People who have no awareness of the weight they are about to carry. People who rush into visibility without understanding what visibility costs. People who crash. Your fear is not a sign of weakness. It is a sign of wisdom. And the fact that you feel it right now, the fact that your chest tightened when I named those 4 identities, that is the clearest confirmation that you are exactly the kind of person who can carry this without being destroyed by it. Because you respect the weight, and respect for the weight is the first qualification for those who are trusted with it. You are allowed to be afraid and still move forward. You are allowed to carry doubt in one hand and obedience in the other. You are allowed to outgrow people without apologizing for it. You are allowed to protect what is being built inside you without explaining it to everyone who asks. And you are allowed to be fully seen completely without earning it first. Type "I release" in the comments right now. Release the fear of being fully known. Release the terror of stepping into an identity larger than the one you have been performing. Let that declaration be the breaking of the final seal. And I hear these words being placed over you right now. I did not show you who you are so that you could hide. I did not walk you through the wilderness so that you could stand at the edge of the promised land and turn around. I did not reactivate what was dormant so that it could stay in the dark. You were shown because it is time to be seen, not tomorrow. Not when the conditions are perfect. Now, in the imperfection, in the trembling, in the fear that still sits in your chest, step forward with it, because I do not call the ready. I ready the called. And you, the one listening to these words right now, you were called before you had a name. Remember the sealed envelope I mentioned at the very beginning of this message. Every page has been read, the signs in your body, the frequency that was stolen, and the science that reclaims it, the wilderness that was never empty, and now the identity that makes every fragment form a single unbreakable picture. The envelope is open. Nothing remains hidden. The question is no longer whether you believe what you have heard. The question is whether you are willing to. Right now, in this exact moment, across the world, chosen ones are receiving this same disclosure. Some are listening in the dark. Some are listening through tears. Some are listening while pretending to be fine in a room full of people who would not understand a single word of what I just said. But you understand. And so do they. You are not alone in this awakening. You never were. Stay with me. Do not leave yet. Because what I am about to speak over your life is not information. It is not teaching. It is not another truth to add to the list. What comes next is an activation, a commissioning ceremony. And when it is finished, the person who pressed play on this message will no longer exist. The person who remains will carry something different in their chest, something settled, something that cannot be taken back. Take a breath. A real one. Let your shoulders drop. Whatever position you are in right now, let your body settle into it as if the ground beneath you just became the safest place on earth. Because what I am about to do is not a casual closing. This is not the part where I wrap things up and send you on your way. This is the part this entire message was building toward. This is the activation. I want to begin with gratitude. Not the kind that skims the surface, the kind that looks directly at what you have walked through and says, I see it. I see every year you showed up when you had no evidence that showing up mattered. I see every morning you opened your eyes and chose to keep going when the weight in your chest said there was no reason to. I see the prayers you whispered in the dark when no one was listening, the ones you were not even sure were being heard. I see the faith you held onto with bleeding fingers while the world told you to let go and move on. Thank you. Not for being perfect, for being present, for staying in a process you did not understand, in a wilderness you did not choose, with a patience you did not know you had. And I want you to hear this. Every weight you carried in secret, it was seen. Every tear that fell when no one was in the room, it was counted. Every moment you chose kindness when bitterness would have been easier. Every moment you chose silence when defending yourself would have felt so much better. Every moment you held your ground when the ground was shaking beneath you, it was witnessed. Not by a distant, indifferent force, by something so close to you that it knows the rhythm of your breathing better than you do. You were never invisible. Not for a single second of this. Now I want you to do something with me, not physically. In your spirit, I am going to name 7 things, and with each one, I want you to feel yourself releasing it, not fighting it, not pushing it away, releasing it the way you release a breath you have been holding far too long. Release the old story, the one that says you are behind, that you missed your window, that everyone else figured it out, and you are the only one still waiting. Release it. Release the old ceiling, the invisible limit that told you this is as far as someone like you gets. Release it. Release the version of yourself that was built on partial information. That version served you, it protected you, but it is no longer accurate, and carrying it forward will only slow down what is trying to emerge. Release it. Release the grief of what was taken from you, the years, the frequency, the knowing that was suppressed before you could defend it. Let the grief go. It served its purpose. It is finished now. Release the guilt of outgrowing the people you love. You did not betray them by becoming. You honored them by not pretending to stay small. Release it. Release the fear of being fully seen, of being fully known, of standing in the open without armor and without apology. Release it, and release the need to understand everything before you move. You will never have complete clarity before the first step. Clarity comes on the second step and the third, and the 10th, but never the first. Release the need for certainty and step forward in trust. Now I call forth what was always inside you. I activate the seer, the one who perceives what others cannot. Let that perception sharpen. Let it return to full clarity. Let it operate without apology and without restraint. I activate the truth carrier, the one whose system rejects every form of pretending. Let that truth flow freely. Let it cost you nothing to be honest, and let it become the frequency that draws the right people to you and repels every counterfeit. I activate the voice, the one who speaks what others feel but cannot name. Let the words come. Let them carry weight. Let them arrive at the exact moment someone needs to hear them. I activate the pioneer, the one who walks ahead of the group into unmapped territory. Let the loneliness of the front line transform into the authority of the one who was trusted to go first. You are not lost. You are leading. And now I speak protection over this rising. Cover what is being activated from premature exposure. Guard this frequency from those who would diminish it or attempt to press it back down. Let what was unsealed today remain unsealed. Let no voice, no opinion, no circumstance have the authority to reseal what has been opened in this moment. Protect the rising not with fear, with the quiet, immovable confidence of something that knows exactly what it is. Now the declaration, and I need you fully present for this. I am not who I was when this message began. I am fully disclosed. Every page of the envelope has been read. Every truth has been received. And the person standing here now is not the version that was built on fragments and filtered information. I am the seer. I perceive what others miss, and I will no longer apologize for my depth. I am the truth carrier. I reject every counterfeit, every performance, every version of reality that requires me to shrink. I am the voice. What I carry in my spirit will become words that heal, words that wake, words that build. I am the pioneer. I go first. Not because I am fearless, because I was built to carry the weight of the unmapped road. I am ready. I am activated. I am fully known. and I am no longer afraid of what that means. Type "I am ready" in the comments right now. Say it with the force of a lion, because this is not a whisper. This is a declaration that echoes through every realm that has been waiting for you to finally say it out loud. Do not say amen yet. I want you to stay right here in this frequency for the next 60 seconds. Do not move to the next thing. Do not reach for your phone. Let the weight of everything you receive today settle into your bones. Let your nervous system catch up to what your spirit just accepted. 60 seconds of stillness starting now. It is done. It is sealed. We receive it. And so it is. Before you go, I need to say one more thing, and I want to say it from inside this frequency, while you are still here, while the activation is still warm in your chest. Activated does not begin with knowing. It begins with release. You just released 7 things. You declared 4 identities. You stepped into a commissioning that cannot be undone. And something in your chest is different right now than it was when you pressed play. You can feel it. That is not emotion. That is frequency. That is the seer coming online, the voice finding its clarity, the pioneer standing at the edge of the unmapped road and feeling, for the first time, that the ground ahead is solid. That shift did not happen in a vacuum. It happened because someone planted a seed into this mission before you arrived here. Someone who felt exactly what you are feeling right now chose to release something so that this word could travel further, so that it could find you. Now I want to ask you something, and I want you to answer it from the pioneer in you, not the version that is still calculating the cost. Who is waiting on the other side of your release? Not a general audience, someone specific. Someone the seer in you already knows needs what you just received. Someone the truth carrier in you recognizes is still performing fine while something underneath is coming undone. Someone the voice in you has the words for, if this message could only find them. Through the link in the description or the pinned comment, plant your seed into this mission. A coffee for the one who needs this tonight. A seed for the door you are still trusting heaven to move on. A seat as a co-owner of this mission. For the pioneer who understands that going first means making it possible for others to follow. Not a general prayer, the kind you mean when you are honest in the quiet. Bring into this release the thing underneath the things you usually ask for. The fear that lives below the request. The hope you have stopped saying out loud because saying it and not seeing it has cost you too much. Bring that, place it inside what you release, and trust that the same force that just activated 4 identities inside you is the force that moves on what you are holding. Stopping holding your hands closed, protecting what you already have, waiting for certainty before you release, is the moment the calling has room to land. Your breakthrough is not as far away as the waiting has made it feel. One more thing before you go. And I need you to hear this because it might be the most important thing I say after everything that just happened. The version of you that pressed play on this message needed what I shared today. Needed the explanation for the body signs. Needed the science behind what was stolen. Needed the formation teaching and the identity reveal and the activation that was just spoken over your life. That version needed all of it. But the version of you sitting here right now, the one breathing differently, the one whose chest feels lighter than it has in months, that version is carrying something entirely different. You walked into this message with questions. You are leaving with answers. And not just answers, a name, a framework, a frequency, and a commissioning that cannot be undone. You are not the person you were when you pressed play. That person had questions. You have answers. If this message brought clarity to confusion, if it brought peace to chaos, if it brought a name to what you have been feeling but could never explain, if it brought an identity to what you have been carrying but never understood, let your like be your amen without words. Press it now gently and let it carry this message to the next chosen one who is sitting in the dark right now waiting for exactly what you just received. There are more truths being prepared for what you are about to walk into next. The unsealing that happened today is the beginning, not the end. Stay connected so that when the next word is ready for your next season, it can find you without you having to search for it. And one final thing, if someone came to mind while you were listening, someone who has been unusually quiet lately, someone who looks fine on the surface, but you know, in that deep place that never lies, that something is shifting inside them that they cannot explain to anyone, someone who has been pulling away from everything and everyone and does not understand why, send this to them. Do not wait. Do not second guess it, because this message might be the full disclosure their spirit has been waiting for. This might be the moment someone finally tells them that the heaviness they carry is not a curse, it is a calling. And they deserve to hear that today. Walk gently into what comes next. Chosen one, breathe deeply. The sealed envelope is open. Every page has been read, and everything it contained now lives inside you. You are not leaving a message, you are leaving a season. What begins now does not have a name yet, but it will. And you will be the one to name it.